I'm Maddie. Standing in the empty house, the silence was deafening. The note on the door, scrawled with gotcha, was like a punch in the gut. It had been 3 years since I married Aiden, and we had just planned a fancy trip to Venice after I got a promotion. I thought things had finally changed, but it seemed Aiden and his parents just couldn't resist ruining another important moment. Let me take you back to the beginning. I first met Aiden during my senior year of college. He was from a wealthy family in the suburbs, where his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Hayden, were well known for their love of the arts and, unfortunately, their penchant for practical jokes. I, on the other hand, came from a middle-class family. My parents were hard-working and cautious, always emphasizing the importance of stability and respect. Aiden and I often found ourselves at the campus art gallery on weekends. He was studying art history, and I was majoring in business. Our shared interest in art led to casual conversations, then dates, and eventually, a relationship. 6 months after graduation, we moved in together. Aiden was laid back and full of creative energy, which balanced out my more practical and organized nature. His free, spirited approach to life was a breath of fresh air compared to my tendency to plan everything in advance. Once we got settled into our new routine, it was time to introduce each other to our families. My parents, being protective, had Aiden over for dinner and grilled him about his future plans and how he intended to take care of me. They approved of him eventually, seeing that he was kind-hearted and passionate about his work. Meeting Mr. and Mrs. Hayden, though, was a different story. The first time I went to their mansion, they greeted me with a mischievous smile. Mrs. Hayden led me to the living room, where a huge, elaborate painting was on display. "This is a masterpiece, my dear. Please, take a closer look," she said. As I stepped forward, suddenly, a fake snake dropped from the ceiling right in front of me. I jumped back in shock, and the whole family burst into laughter. Aiden quickly apologized, saying, "Sorry, Maddie. They just can't help themselves." I forced a smile, trying not to show how shaken I was. Over time, I got used to their pranks. Sometimes, they would put salt in the sugar bowl or hide my shoes before I had to go to work. I learned to be on my guard, but I also started to see the humor in it. Aiden was so happy that I could take their pranks well. One day, after a get-together at his parents' house, I asked him, "Why do you always make such a big deal about me handling your parents' pranks?" He shrugged and said, "Most of the girls I've dated couldn't stand it." "You're different, Maddie." I raised an eyebrow and replied, "Who wouldn't be okay with a little fun as long as it doesn't hurt anyone?" Aiden smiled and said, "That's exactly why I love you. You understand them." After 4 years of dating, Aiden proposed to me at his parents' annual art gala. They had set up a beautiful display of our favorite paintings. As I was admiring the artworks, Mrs. Hayden came up to me and said, "Oh, Maddie, there's a little something in that painting over there for you." I walked over to the painting, and when I tried to get a better look, the frame fell forward, revealing a small velvet box. Inside was a gorgeous diamond ring, and Aiden got down on one knee and proposed. It was a perfect prank, and I couldn't stop laughing as I said yes. We planned to get married the following year. I was over the moon, but I also knew that I didn't want any pranks on our wedding day. I wanted it to be a traditional, elegant ceremony without any unexpected surprises. I was too nervous to talk to his parents about it, so I hoped Aiden would handle it. One night before bed, I brought up the topic. "Aiden, I love your parents and all the fun we have, but I really don't want any pranks at our wedding," I said carefully. He frowned and asked, "Why not?" "Pranks are what make things memorable." I explained, "I just want everything to go smoothly. My parents would be embarrassed if there were any crazy pranks, and I want this day to be perfect." Aiden shook his head and said, "I can't tell them. They won't listen to me. If you want it, you have to tell them yourself." I was taken aback. I didn't think I was asking for much. But determined to have a prank-free wedding, I invited Mr. and Mrs. Hayden over for dinner. I took a deep breath and said, I know you love pranks, but I'd really prefer if there weren't any on our wedding day. Mrs. Hayden's face fell, and Mr. Hayden looked at me in surprise. You're taking away a family tradition, Maddie, Mrs. Hayden argued. I calmly replied, I understand it's important to you, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and I want it to be special. There was a tense silence in the room. Eventually, they reluctantly agreed. But after they left, I noticed that Aiden became distant. He was less talkative and seemed preoccupied. I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was overreacting? I didn't want to mess up our relationship before we even got married. I turned to my mom for advice. Mom, is it wrong not to want pranks at my wedding? I asked, feeling torn. My mom said, You're not wrong, Maddie. Weddings are personal, and you have every right to ask for a normal day. Have you talked to Aiden again? I replied, yes, but he's still distant. I think they're planning something behind my back. My mom reassured me, keep trying to talk to him. He'll come around. I followed my mom's advice. After a few days, Aiden started to open up a little, but he still seemed a bit off. 3 weeks before the wedding, though, his behavior changed for the better. He was more attentive, helping me with the wedding preparations, and he kept telling me, everything's fine, Maddie. I've accepted your request. The wedding day finally arrived. The ceremony was beautiful. As I walked down the aisle, I saw Aiden's eyes fill with tears, and I couldn't help but cry too. It was a moment I'd always dreamed of. But then, at the reception, as we were walking towards the cake table, one of Aiden's cousins suddenly grabbed a piece of cake and threw it at us. In an instant, it turned into a full-blown cake-throwing battle. I stood there, shocked and frozen. Aiden and his parents were laughing and joining in, while I just felt humiliated. I looked at Aiden with tears in my eyes and asked, Why did you do this? He came over and grabbed my hand, asking, What's wrong? It's just a bit of fun. I was furious. I asked you not to do this, and you went behind my back. You ruined my perfect day, my dress, and all the memories I wanted to make. Aiden tried to downplay it, saying, It's just a small prank, Maddie. Don't be so sensitive. I shook my head in disbelief. You knew I didn't want this, and you didn't stop them. You let them do it, and then you call me sensitive? This isn't just about the prank, it's about you not respecting my feelings. I was so hurt that I couldn't stay there any longer. I left the reception and went to my mom's house. In the following days, Aiden didn't seem to understand how much he'd hurt me. He kept saying it was just a joke, but I knew it was a betrayal of my trust. I avoided him and his parents, finding comfort in my mom's arms. I also learned that many of the guests at the wedding disapproved of the prank, and Aiden's parents faced some backlash. After a week of silence, Aiden came to see me. I saw genuine remorse in his eyes. I'm sorry, Maddie. I never meant to hurt you. I promise it won't happen again, he said quietly. I was hesitant but decided to give him another chance. 4 months later, Mr. and Mrs. Hayden finally apologized. They looked sheepish and said, We're really sorry for what happened. We didn't realize how much it would hurt you. I thought about it for a while and decided to forgive them. They started to make an effort to change, hosting dinners without any pranks and being more respectful of my boundaries. 3 years later, after I got a big promotion at work, I had some extra money. I suggested a luxurious trip to Venice. Aiden was excited, but then he said, Why don't we invite my parents? They haven't had a vacation in ages. I was hesitant at first. I don't know, Aiden. They'll need to cover their own expenses, and we need some space. He replied, Of course. But it would be nice to have them with us. I agreed, but I was still cautious. 5 days before the trip, Mr. and Mrs. Hayden came to stay at our place so they'd be closer to the airport. I gave them their tickets and passports while I was packing, not even bothering to check them myself. I had my own little plan. I'd given them one-way tickets to Venice. I thought if they tried to prank us again, they'd be stranded during the peak holiday season. The night before the trip, I went to bed excited. But when I woke up, the house was empty. Aiden was gone, and so were his parents. I rushed to the guest bedroom, their luggage was gone. Back in our room, I saw the gotcha note on the door. I waited until I knew they had landed in Venice, then I called. Aiden and Mr. Hayden didn't answer, but Mrs. Hayden picked up. Did you seriously leave without waking me? I asked, frustrated. She said dismissively, you can just book another ticket. I dropped the bombshell, you might want to check those tickets. They're one-way flights. There was a long silence on the other end, and then she erupted, what? You can't be serious. I replied, I am. Enjoy getting back, and hung up. That was it for me. I decided to divorce Aiden. I realized that no matter how much I loved him, I needed to have boundaries. Family or not, respecting those boundaries is crucial for my well-being. After the divorce was finalized, I learned to be more cautious in my relationships, always making sure that my feelings and wishes were respected. Looking back, I'm grateful for this experience because it taught me the importance of standing up for myself.